Hello, for your feminine. I am really excited to talk tonight about a pretty hot and salacious topic, which is age. People have really strong opinions about age when it comes to dating. And you'd be surprised. Some people have really strong opinions on one end of the spectrum, that age is just a number, it doesn't matter, who cares, like love is whatever it is with whoever it is. And then there's people on the other end of the spectrum who feel really uncomfortable about dating someone that's too old for them or dating someone that they consider to be too young for them. So I'm going to bust some of those myths. We're going to go deep into this topic tonight. I might offend you, but that's okay. I'm just going to share my thoughts on this and why dating tends to get stuck on this issue of age and why the dating apps are making it worse. So it's so much worse now with the dating apps because, you put your age on there and there's filters and people decide what age range they want to see, and lots of people on there maybe aren't truthful about their age. So we're going to dive into all of those details. So I have a few questions for you though before we get into that. And the first one is, I'm curious if you've ever fudged a little bit on your age when you were dating. So go ahead and you can put like a thumbs up or a heart if you've ever maybe adjusted your age by a titch online dating, and there's no judgment with that, so I'm just curious. And I'm also curious, like, what's the age range that you tend to date in, and what's the age range, like the biggest age range that you've had? I dated someone when I was 29 who was in his early to mid 40s. I think he was 43. So that was like a 14-year age range. We didn't date for very long. We only had a few dates, but it was an interesting experience. And then there was a time period where I was also dating a lot of guys, well, not a lot, but I was dating men, or I was tending to meet men who were younger than me by a few years. The youngest that I've ever dated younger than me, I think is just maybe 3 or 4 years. I'd have to think about that a little bit more, but that's been my experience. I have clients who have dated a huge age range. It just depends. I have clients who've dated people who are 20 years older than them, and clients who've dated people who are 15 years younger than them. So there is a massive, variance in what people have experienced. And thank you, Sarah, for chiming in. She says, no, I haven't. The largest age gap I've dated is 21 years. Maria says 14 years. So yeah, those are some pretty big age gaps. And I think it's really fascinating because, again, people have pretty strong opinions one way or the other. And it's interesting though, how, in modern times, like, you can't really tell how old someone is. So if you're not meeting someone on the apps, if you're just meeting someone, out and about at a meetup event or at a friend's party or, traditionally at a bar, although I don't really recommend people meet people at a bar. It's just not the best place to go to meet someone and have a great heartfelt conversation. Most of the time you can't really tell because, let's face it, there are a lot of you watching who are in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, and you're smoking hot. Like, you totally take care of your body, you have a deep spiritual practice, you're in touch with your feminine energy, you feel sexy and sensual. And if you were to just meet someone on the street, they probably would never guess your age. They might think that you're in your late 30s instead of in your 50s, or they might think that you are in your 40s and you're actually 60. So the cool thing is that because we have so many opportunities to take really good care of ourselves, and I think women are way better at this than men are. I think women are so good, if they put intention into it, at taking care of themselves, that a lot of times people don't know your age. I'm 38, almost 39, or 38 and a half, and a lot of times people think that I'm in my early 30s or I'm in my late 20s, and obviously I'm not. So I just want that to keep going. And, age is not, to me, that relevant. To me, what's important is experience and maturity. Now, this applies as a general theory, but I also believe that this applies with dating with some caveats. So when I was dating, and what I recommend to my clients is that you look for a partner who has life experiences and personal values, including integrity, that are really important to you and that align with yours. So when I was dating, I would much rather date someone who was a few years younger than me, but who had really strong character, than someone who was 15 years older than me and just wanted to party all the time. I remember when I was dating the guy in his mid-40s, when I was only 29, he had a really good heart, but a lot of his friends that he hung out with were just big partiers. They talked about money all the time. Nothing wrong with partying and money, hello. But I didn't really feel that connected to his tribe and his community. Now, on the other hand, I've dated guys who are younger than me who've gone through like pretty intense life circumstances and have deep wisdom and integrity and character. So to me, age is less important than experience and maturity and character. Like, those values are what's going to create a sustainable partnership long term. But there are things to watch out for. So if a man is way older than you and you're not feeling a sense of connection, there's just too much of a gap where you don't necessarily have any similar interests, or you don't laugh at the same jokes, or, you know, maybe they're really conservative and sometimes controlling, and you want to be totally empowered and you want to have your amazing career. Like, there are certain generational things that might crop up. However, I believe that we all reach a level of development when we're on our spiritual path, when we're on our growth path, where we transcend those cultural paradigms, where we're not beholden to, you know, old outdated notions of where the woman can and can't be, or where we're not beholden to like certain looks or certain, you know, cultural proclivities about what we should date or what we should think. So I think it's important to find someone who is committed, just as committed as you are, to a path of growth and development. And the good news is more and more men are into that. You know, 5 years, I think, was harder to find conscious men. A lot of men are really doing their work, and there's a lot of really great teachers that are popping up to help men do their work. So if you're looking for someone who has the right blend of experience and maturity, don't fear. It's actually totally possible that you're going to find someone like that. But you have to be ready. You have to have the skills and the connection to your heart and the ability to navigate a lot of different energy. So if you ever feel, and hi Nicole, thanks for joining in. She says, my first boyfriend was 12 years older and the youngest I've dated was 19 years, my junior. Cool. I think those are great experiences to have. We're going to talk a little bit later about, you know, what comes up when we're kind of moving towards the edges of having big gaps in age. But I was explaining earlier that I think experience and maturity and character alignment is way more important than an age is. But there's things to watch out for. Is this person still stuck in cultural or generational paradigms and judgments? Do they want to control you, or do they feel curious about you? Are they here to empower you to be your best self, or are they trying to get you to fit into their view of reality? So I think I was sharing something earlier. I kind of lost my train of thought. And I think I was sharing something earlier about, okay, now I really did lose my train of thought. That's okay. This is awesome. So I'll just move on to the next thing. So I find that when we are looking at people through the lens of age, we're going to miss out on what they have to offer. So I have met men who are in their 60s that are smoking hot, like so sexy. And it's because I can feel their spirit. I can feel their essence. I can feel their masculinity. And I can just feel like their care. And then there's men that I've met that are my age that totally are not attractive to me. So I think it's really beautiful to understand, like, what are you attracted to? And then how can you adjust your energy? That's what I was going to talk about. How can you adjust your energy and play with your energy to attract and magnetize the right sort of experiences for you, for where you're at in your journey of love? So you might be just coming out of a divorce and you might be like, I just want to have some fun. Like, I am not super interested in meeting my long-term partner right now. Or you might be coming out of a divorce and being like, wow, that guy was crazy and not the best choice for me. I'm so ready for someone who's really emotionally connected and someone who can really see me and cherish me. So it's not always just if you're coming out of a relationship, you want to just have fun. Sometimes you're coming out of a relationship and you want something really deep and meaningful. And just because someone's older doesn't necessarily mean that they want commitment more than someone that's younger. You have to talk about these things in a relationship. You can't just have something assumed. Jason and I, my husband, always talk about, you know, make the implicit explicit. Because otherwise we're just running around with assumptions and expectations, and then feelings can get hurt, you know, so much more easily. So what's beautiful as a woman is that you have the opportunity and the responsibility to flow with energy in a deeper way than the masculine can. So traditionally, and we all have masculine and feminine within us, traditionally the masculine is more steady. It doesn't change. It's stillness itself. The feminine is energy, it's movement, it's change, it's being dynamic. And that means that we have the opportunity to play with so many more energies more easily. Men have that same opportunity too. It just is a little harder for them to access if they're more traditionally masculine. So if you've ever felt like, why do I have to do so much work? Like, I'm so sick of putting work into dating, and I'm so sick of feeling like I've got to twist myself into a pretzel just to attract a guy. Like, I hear you. Sometimes it sucks to feel like we have to keep putting ourselves out out there and opening our heart, and why are we doing our work, and maybe we feel like the men aren't. But as I was saying earlier, hi Bree, as I was saying earlier, there are plenty of men who are doing their work. And there is a difference between masculine and feminine energy, and feminine energy traditionally is more dynamic and more change-oriented. That means we get to play with all these different archetypes: the seductress, the provocateur, the saint, the virgin, the mother, the earth goddess, the fire goddess, the destructive, Kali-like goddess. And those might scare you a little bit. It might feel intimidating. But the cool thing is you can be your own alchemist. You can explore these different aspects of energy within yourself, and you can see then what you can alchemize with a partner. So hypothetically, if you really wanted someone that was a little bit older, because in your experience that's been a greater level of maturity or a greater level of depth or a greater level of life experience, again, I think it's more dependent on the person's journey, but just hypothetically, then how can you find the opposite of that within yourself? How can you find a little bit of your playfulness or your childlike joy, or not being naive, but being innocent, and finding more of that innocent energy? Because typically opposites will attract. Now you want to make sure you have compatibility, of course, but opposites are what is going to create a lot of chemistry. Now you might find someone you have a lot of compatibility with. Stay with that person, but get the help that you need to make the energy dynamics. There's still lots of passion. So you might also feel like you want to be with someone who's more like the jokester, the trickster, the life of the party, the guy who is, lights up a room and is on the go and knows how to network and schmooze with anyone, who's super charming and really gregarious. Like, those guys are fun. Those guys are super, super attractive. And so maybe for you, if that's a role that you typically inhabit, maybe you're a CEO or like an alpha female, and you're the one who tends to light up a room and work a room and be super charming and gregarious. In order to create that chemistry and that polarity, you might need to play with some of the energy that's the opposite of that. You might need to play with the energy that's more demure or more reserved, or more like the siren energy or the seductress energy. And I know this might feel like, how do I do that? So don't worry, I've helped lots of women with this, and we're just kind of getting started. This is a taste of this, and I'll talk a little bit more about it at the end of the video. But to me, it's less about age and more about energy. It's more about the connection that you're creating, about the life experience that both of you have had, and your skill level in exhibiting and expressing these different types of energies. So one of the most fun things is to see a woman light up to her own unique feminine essence. And that feminine essence is not just one, flat like shade of color. It's all the different colors in the rainbow, because she is all the things in the rainbow. She is all the different colors. She is life and expression of life itself. And so not only do we get to go on this beautiful journey of exploration in order to better understand our patterns of attraction and attract a partner who's a good fit for us, but we also get to go on this exploration simply because it's yummy and delicious and juicy. And so many of the women that I work with, not only are they like, oh my gosh, this is happening faster than I expected, attracting a great guy, or getting a promotion at work, or having a different part of their life really unfold, maybe their relationships with their children, but they're also having way more fun. It's like we have been indoctrinated into, we must suffer, we must work hard, we must be puritanical, put your head down and just do a good job and people will eventually notice you. Like, no, I'm done with that. And I think so many women are done with that. We're sick of putting in all these hours and all this effort, being not noticed, and then being passed over for a promotion or for a great relationship or for an opportunity to do something cool with our life, maybe start a business or launch a project or travel around the world. So I get super fired up about helping women and talking with women about these different feminine energies, because believe me, it's so much more fun and it's so much more powerful than just feeling like you've got to stay linear and putting your head down and staying small and maybe being hidden. So with this age discussion, if you're just joining us, I think it's so much more about the connection and the energy than it is about the specific age. But I do want you to be really aware, like, what is this person open to? What is their mind open to? What are the cultural and societal paradigms or rules that they're living under? How dynamic is their energy? If you want to be playful, can they be playful? If you want to be playful and they're stoic, can those rules ever reverse? And how much structure do you need from the other person? Maybe one of your values is safety, and it feels really good to be with someone who's older and maybe more established. However, we have no idea. That person who's older and more established, they might get laid off a week from when you start dating them. them. A woman that I'm working with, she was starting to date and talk to a guy, and then he texts her and he's like, I got laid off, you know? And so she didn't like brush him off or something, but you know, they've still been talking, but it's a change. Like one of the things she was attracted to about him was his stability. So I personally believe that chaos is the new norm. I think that with technology and everything else that's happening, life is unpredictable. And so I personally, that's why I think the connection, the communication, the values, and all of that is a more reliable indicator than something on the surface like someone's age. But when we do get super far, according to me, super far out of bounds, like I'm talking more than 10 to 15 years, then there can be really big gaps just in life experience. In my experience working with women, once you're above your early 30s, age is not as relevant, as long as the other person is also in their early 30s. The male brain takes longer to develop. Maybe you've heard this. The male brain is not fully developed until it's 26. And so there's nothing wrong with that. But it just means that someone who's, you know, in their 20s might not have the same level of decision-making capacity, might not have the same level of, you know, self-knowledge and self-awareness. They're literally not fully developed yet. However, a lot of times just because their brain isn't fully developed doesn't mean their heart isn't totally developed, and doesn't mean their body isn't totally developed. So I'm not suggesting that you should rob the cradle or something like that. But, you know, if you meet someone that's in their 20s and you're creating a great relationship with them, awesome. Like, go for it. I really think that love is love and age is not super relevant, but it is really important that you're aware of what are you really looking for and what creates partnership for you, what provides stability if you're looking for stability, what provides adventure if you're looking for adventure, and then what really lights you up and turns you on, and how can you show up to that partnership in a way that's nurturing to yourself, but also nourishing and nurturing to the other person too. Hi, Lori. Hi, Jacqueline. And then this thing about online dating with age. I find this so fascinating, and you might be not in agreement with me, but I'm going to share something that's a little bit controversial. So when I first started coaching women about 7 years ago, I always said, you know, always be truthful on your online dating profile. Never adjust your age. That's out of integrity. It's not good. Like, just don't do it. However, what I've noticed is that in the last 3 years or so, no one online is truthful about their age. There's a woman I know who's dating a guy who said that he's 37, but he's actually 47, and she knows that because she found his LinkedIn profile and she could like do the math on when he went to school and everything. She wasn't actually that upset. She was like, I'm just sad because if we stay together, he might, you know, pass away sooner than I do if you know, his life expectancy is the same as mine or whatever that is. So, you know, I'm not advocating that you should do wild swings in your age profile online or that you shouldn't be in integrity. You might listen to me and just say like, Violet, I totally disagree. I'm always going to keep my age exactly as it is, and that's just who I am, and that will be fine. I'm not encouraging you to not be truthful, but I am suggesting that the algorithm in the dating apps is designed in certain ways. It's designed in ways to put in filters and to block out entire segments of the population. And you might think, well, you know, it's just people who are older who are not being truthful about their age. It's not true. There's people that are in their 20s that are saying they're in their 30s. There's people in their 40s that are saying that they're in their 30s. There are people who in their 50s that are saying they're in their 40s. And then there's people in their 30s that are saying they're in their 40s. So it's like so confusing. What I have found is that there are like cliffs, or there are cutoff marks, and those tend to be at like the 5-year increments. So, you know, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And so my suggestion to you, if you're open to it, just like the way that we talk about working with feminine energy, just like the way we talk about exploring communication styles, like play around with it and see. If it feels out of integrity with you, don't. But it's okay to say, you know, let's say I'm 46, maybe I'm going to say on my profile I'm 44. Maybe I'm 36 and I want to say on my profile that I'm 39 because I really want to date a guy who's in his 50s or 60s. I think it's, you know, I think that's hot, whatever it is that your proclivity. Because what I don't want is I don't want you to miss out on a huge section of the population if you're choosing to do online dating just because of age, because I personally think age is not really that really relevant. However, if you're going to choose to go this way in order to feel like you're still connected to your heart and connected to your truth, I would tell the other person at some point, probably on the second date, wait to see if you have some sort of chemistry. Like, so, you know, I find that with the apps, I have way better luck when I am more fluid with my age. And I know that might strike you as out of integrity, so I just want to be honest right now. This is where I'm coming from. This is why I do it. I'm all about like having fun, being adventurous, being youthful, and I don't think I even look like I'm 47. So that's why I put 44. Like, I hope that doesn't offend you. And then have a conversation with the person. And if they're not down for that, then you can say, I'm really sorry that I betrayed your trust. I hope you can understand what it's like to be a woman who's 47 dating and not always getting high quality matches, because people aren't always truthful about their age. So I think anything is open for discussion, personally, and I want you to get what you want. I want you to be able to play with these things in a way that feels integrity to you. Again, you don't have to do this. I'm just having a discussion about it because in my experience, lots and lots of people, pretty much everyone online, is not truthful about their age, which doesn't make it okay. But it is a system, it's a technology, and we get to use that tool in a way that feels congruent with us. I have a lot of clients. I have a woman who is 41, and she is now seriously dating a guy who's 44, and she changed her profile, I think, to 46, from 51 to 46, because she was 51 and she kept getting guys that were in their 60s, and she knew that she wanted to be with a guy who was fit and, active and still in what felt like a good age range. She didn't tell him until I think the 4th or 5th date. And she said kind of like what I said, probably a little bit shorter because I'm super talkative. And he was like, well, you're beautiful and I like you. I'm already falling for you. Like, that's okay. I totally get it. Like, it must be interesting to date in your 50s if you want to be meeting someone who's a little bit younger. So I hope I didn't open a can of worms with this, but I just want to talk truthfully about what I've seen with my clients and with myself with online dating. And I understand that's a little bit tricky to navigate. But in general, within this context of age, I think age is becoming less and less relevant. I think doing your personal work, knowing who you are, playing around with the different energies of the masculine and feminine within us and within our partnerships is the key to creating a flourishing partnership. And if someone is going to be ageist towards you or not interested in you because of your age, then that's probably a red flag. However, someone might not even get the chance to meet you if you don't understand like some of these little cliffs in terms of what people filter in terms of online dating. So honor where you're at, honor your age, the beauty, the wisdom that comes from that. Maybe play around if you're feeling comfortable with it, with some of these age things. And then also get really clear, like, how do you want to feel in partnership? How do you want to feel within yourself when you're in partnership? Because sometimes we think like, oh, this person is going to make me feel this way. But feeling that way first is the way to attract and create that relationship within yourself and within others. And then I encourage you too to be a little bit more open-minded. Like, what if you've been thinking, well, my person needs to be in his 30s and your stud is like 47, Like, I wouldn't want you to miss out on that. And I similarly wouldn't want a guy to miss out on you. You might be an awesome, amazing catch and you're 56 and your guy is in his 40s. It's like, yeah, I encourage you to go for it, to go up to that guy who's maybe younger or maybe older, to make eye contact, to flirt, to be open to the love that wants to be expressed through you, because hopefully we're all going to live till we're about like 100 or 120. And so if you're watching this and you're in your 40s and you're single, you've got 60, maybe even 80. Isn't that crazy? Maybe 80 more years to live. Like, that is too long to go without love because of being worried about age. So I know some of you have had experiences where your partner has been so much older than you that there's too much of a gap, but that's why you just pay attention to like what's happening, in the relationship, what's happening with you when you're with them. And again, I think it's less about age and more just about interests and values and connection and energy. Hi, Christine. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. But if you need some assistance or some guidance and understanding how to navigate dating, including online dating, how to play with the different feminine energies so that you know how to attract the right sort of partner, understanding that opposites attract and compatibility binds. And if you're just not sure like how to feel good about yourself in the process of dating, because I want you to feel fabulous as you're out and about and getting to know people, then I would love to connect. I'm going to put a link in the comments for booking a free call. And you might be like, why do I do these calls? I do these calls because I love love. I love people. I love meeting people and hearing their stories. I think it's fascinating. I think love is our superpower, and it's even more so becoming evident. Like, that's why we're here. Technology is making life so much more convenient. So what do we do with our time? Love and create things, creating a family, creating artwork, creating new products, creating companies. Like, we're getting this opportunity to be so creative and so full of love because our lives are becoming, in some ways, easier and easier, and of course, more complex. So I want you to have that love. I want you to be part of this wave of love and connection and creativity. And so I'd love to connect with you, and I'll put the link in the comments. So thank you all for joining and listening. I'd love to hear more of your stories. If you want to type in, like, again, the age ranges you've experienced, maybe what age your current partner is, what age you're looking for. But beyond that, like, what are the qualities and attributes that really turn you on, and how are you committed to showing up whatever age you are? So lots of love to you, and I will talk to you all soon. I'll be here next Wednesday, on the 26th, the day after Christmas. So happy holidays, and talk soon.